And as we dance our way towards the season finale in Abu Dhabi, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the quick step. Welcome along to round 14 of the Formula One World Championship in 2018. It is the Italian Grand Prix, and we are here on the outskirts of Milan in Monza. Famous Italian artists include Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo and Raphael. Will Messrs Raikkonen and Vettel put the rest on the canvas later on this afternoon? It's considered the fashion capital of the world, this part of Italy. Well, if you're not wearing red, chances are you're not welcome in the grandstands this afternoon. At a Monza track that has held more Grand Prix than any other circuit, and where yesterday we witnessed the new fastest lap in Formula One history, Kimi Raikkonen taking pole for Ferrari as they locked out the front row at a race they haven't won since 2010. We have 53 laps ahead of us around this 3.6-mile circuit, 11 corners, 4 to the left and 7 to the right. There's 638 metres from pole down towards turn 1, plenty of chances for overtaking into the first chicane. You've got to be late on your brakes, as Hamilton was on Raikkonen back in 2007. We've seen many get past down there, not always the Curva Grande, but Sebastian Vettel managed it, even though he had to go on the grass when he was up against Fernando Alonso in 2011. And high speed equals high speed accidents. Marcus Ericsson this year, back in 1990 at the end of the first lap, it was Derek Warwick in his Lotus. 3 different types of tyre compound: the medium tyre, the slowest compound, the soft tyre with the yellow stripe could be a favourite race tyre. The super soft's been performing well with its red stripe as well. So the Tifosi are here in force. And this is the way the starting grid looks as Kimi Raikkonen on pole for the second time in 10 years against Sebastian Vettel, his teammate alongside him. Lewis Hamilton's never started third here before. He does today. He's got Valtteri Bottas for company on row 2. Max Verstappen has his best ever Monza start, as does Romain Grosjean, as they line up on the third row ahead of Carlos Sainz for Renault and Esteban Ocon for Force India. Behind Ocon, another Frenchman is Pierre Gasly for Toro Rosso, who won here 10 years ago. Lance Stroll got into Q3 for the first time this season for Williams. Kevin Magnussen just missed out for Haas. He's alongside Stroll's Williams teammate Sergei Sorokin. Fernando Alonso was quickest in the speed trap, helped by a tow from Magnussen, but he's 13th, and behind him Charles Leclerc starts 15th with Brendan Hartley in the other Toro Rosso for company. Stoffel van Dorn 17th alongside Marcus Ericsson, who had a 215-mile-an-hour crash here on Friday. Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg both take new power units and have engine penalties to contend with. That's why they're at the back of the grid. Daniel Ricciardo has it all to do, but Red Bull are targeting plenty of overtaking for him today, Martin Brundle. I'm sure he'll be making his way through a certain number of cars. I'm really looking forward to this race, though. Red Bull, as we know, are missing a bit of straight line speed. They'll be pushing hard, but Ferrari lock out the front row. Mercedes lock out the second row, but Hamilton leads the championship by 17 points. Mercedes lead the Constructors' Championship by 15 points. Just 8 races to go. It's all to play for, and I think it's going to be magic between the 4 cars up front. It's such a tantalising prospect, isn't it? Here's the man on pole, hasn't led a lap or finished on the podium at Monza this decade. His teammate Sebastian Vettel alongside him, who hasn't won or taken pole for Ferrari here, has won and taken pole in the past, but never for the Scuderia. And if he wins today, Sebastian Vettel, he'll have won here at Monza for 3 different teams. Quite something. But of course, we know that Kimi's not been great on the first lap of a Grand Prix now for more than a year. He's not gained a place. Well, he'll struggle to gain a place today from pole position, and congratulations to him for that. But will he lose any places? It's a long run. It's nearly 700 meters down to the apex of turn 1. Plenty of slipstreaming going on down there. And look how the track narrows so much as they head into the braking zone. It's a real bottleneck down there. Kimi has lost places at 6 of the last 7 starts. Sebastian's gained places at the last 2 starts. That's why it's such a tantalising prospect, this start. And because, Martin, we're expecting a one-stop race here, the start becomes ever more crucial with the less reliance on strategic varieties. Oh, add in as well a 60% chance of rain. But surprisingly, despite the big braking zones, it's not a track where we've had many safety cars at all. They've not been a factor in this Grand Prix, partly because they can go straight on, as you can see there at the first chicane,
and slalom their way back into the action.
We haven't had a safety car here since the opening 3 laps in 2011. It's about as rare as a fan of any other team than Ferrari, a safety car here at Monza.
Top 10 locked into the used super softs then that they had in Q2 to get them into that top 10 shootout.
So Lewis, at the moment, nothing on the radar. We are feeling just the odd spot of rain, so you may have something hit your visor, but there's nothing we can see at the moment.
But starting on soft tyres, Magnussen for Haas, Leclerc for Sauber, Ericsson for Sauber, and Ricciardo for Red Bull, of course, on the back row of the grid, along with naughty boy Nico Hülkenberg, who got a 10th-place grid drop for the accident last weekend in Spa and some engine penalties. So
expect to see Daniel Ricciardo then staying out an awful lot longer than those on the red striped super soft tyres.
Both had pretty perfect starts just now.
Okay, so when they get off the line and they go out for the formation lap, they have a practice start, and Lewis Hamilton seemingly very happy with that. So man who's led every lap of the Italian Grand Prix, well, his team have, since 2014.
And the only time, of course, they can practice a start from where they're going to start the Grand Prix from. Everywhere else, every other time is in the end of the pit lane, where they put a lot of rubber down. I always think it must be giving them false information. Maurizio Uribe-Beni then, he said to me last night, Enzo Ferrari started this great team. If I can just put a comma into the story, then I'll be happy. And a 1-2 today, I think, would be more than a comma in his role as team principal.
Absolutely. We complete 2/3 of the Formula One season. At the end of this Italian Grand Prix, Ferrari would so love to be either leading the Constructors' Championship and closing that Drivers' Championship as well. They have it in the palm of their hands to put real pressure on Mercedes as we close off the European season. This is a great place, Martin Brundle, to be an Italian Ferrari team principal when everything's going right. And so far this week, it is going right for them.
Yeah, and this is the bit that matters. So it's easy enough to warm up your rear tyres. You've got the low pedal underneath your right foot to do that with. Much harder to warm up your front tyres. You can do it a bit with the brakes, a bit with weaving, but you really need high speed and the downforce to start warming up those front tyres. That's why we see so many skirmishes on the brakes down into the first corner of any given Grand Prix.
Piero Ferrari watches on from the garage then at a track at Monza in this turbo hybrid era that has been Mercedes' dominant track. But Ferrari on that front row today, could that dominance be about to come to an end? They've all got a chance going into that first turn. Expect some late braking, expect some drama. It's the Italian Grand Prix, and 20 cars then lined up on the grid, 5 lights on ahead of them. And it's lights out and away we go, and Kimi Räikkönen gets away well, covers off Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton slipstreaming behind Vettel, who pulls out to the left-hand side, and it's done. And damage for Brendan Hartley. Look up there for Kimi Räikkönen, but he makes the first chicane. Hamilton and Vettel almost touch. Verstappen's on the inside of Bottas, and he's made up a place. Räikkönen leads them away. Going over the grass, it's Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. It's Räikkönen from Vettel, from Hamilton, Verstappen. Bottas under pressure now from Grosjean.
Going to be horrible flat spots on the front tyres of Kimi Räikkönen. They're side by side. Look at Hamilton alongside Vettel. Oh, so close. He'll struggle to get round there.
They've touched Martin. Hamilton, and Vettel has been spun round. Disaster for Sebastian Vettel at the start of this race. He touched with Lewis Hamilton going through the chicane. Hamilton came off best. Sebastian Vettel losing places. He's down in 18th.
2 into 1 wouldn't go. There's just not enough space through there, but Hamilton hung it around the outside. And somehow it's Vettel that went around and has lost some bodywork for good measure. Normally there you'd expect the car on the outside.
That was silly. Where did he want to go?
Obvious.
Safety car has been deployed here for the first time since 2011. Brendan Hartley originally, before we got to the first chicane, in trouble in his Haas. Sebastian Vettel in massive trouble in his Ferrari, clashing with Hamilton. Bodywork flying off the Ferrari as well. It's gone very, very well for one Ferrari. It's a horrible start for the other Ferrari, and Sebastian Vettel turning his head from side to side, shaking his head almost at the way that this afternoon has unfolded.
So we've got one Ferrari down the back, the other out front with badly flat spotted front tyres from that lock-up, and he's going to need a front wing. He may as well do it now, straight away. So he needs to pit now because he can come straight out onto the back of the pack.
Now, We've seen Sebastian Vettel on one set of tyres run pretty much the whole race distance when he was at Red Bull here at Monza. After pitting late at that stage, 2 laps before the end, he's going to have to put on a set of soft tyres here and go to the end. That is his only redeeming hope, I think.
And how many laps has he done on soft tyres this weekend so far? Nil. Because he only bought 1 set of soft tyres. They only allocated, that's their choice at Ferrari, allocated 1 set of these tyres, so this will be an adventure for him.
Now here's interesting, Hulkenberg has come into the pits, Ricciardo's come into the pits. Ricciardo started on soft tyre, he's gone onto the super soft. Hulkenberg has gone onto the soft tyre, Ted.
But that was an unsafe release by Ferrari into the path of Sauber without a wheel. Marcus Ericsson, I think it is. Ericsson had to brake. That could be a slam dunk, another penalty for an unsafe release by Ferrari.
So Sebastian Vettel released, you saw, into the path
At the Sauber, and the Sauber had to slam on the brakes, yes.
Of Marcus Ericsson. We'll see that in a moment. Brendan Hartley out of this race. We saw big damage. I wonder if he then tangled with Marcus Ericsson at the start. Hartley began this race 1 grid spot above Marcus Ericsson.
I got hit by Sebastian.
Copy. Pressures look okay.
Need to check my front wing.
Copy.
Left side also.
And we couldn't see anything in terms of damage.
A chaotic start here at Monza. We promised you drama, and we had it right from the outset. They're investigating the stewards. Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton clashing. This, though, the dash down into turn 1, Martin.
Well, Vettel picked up a slipstream from his teammate. It wasn't quite as bad a lock up there, it's just the right front. So they'd already touched then Hamilton and Vettel in the between the first and second corners. Hamilton gets a massive slingshot through Curva Grande. Toe presumably got his engine wound up as well. No DRS at this phase, and goes down the outside. Normally, 9 times out of 10, it'd be the car on the outside that ended up getting turned around. But he squeezed. I mean, he was on the racetrack. Hamilton did not leave the racetrack at any point. And you wonder why Vettel felt he obviously got pinched and turned in a little bit harder. That incident is under investigation. Will they perceive that Hamilton squeezed Vettel?
Vettel wanted to drift over to the right.
Gave him a fair old whack, didn't he? That is why it pendulum round then. He took a whack on his right front axle there.
Well, this is a great view to see here. Hamilton's turning in, normal line. Vettel wants to drift right, normal line. They're not going to go both through that normal line. Who is to blame?
Vettel got some understeer. I need to see that again. That looks like 6 of one, half a dozen of another from that angle. Vettel's front was sliding, understeering across the track, not steering enough. Hamilton pinched, but he left him some racing space. I think that'll be a racing incident.
We shall see. They've cleared away Brendan Hartley's Toro Rosso. Kimi Raikkonen then leads this race behind the safety car. We can see what happened to Brendan Hartley. Across comes Stoffel Van Dorn, across Hartley's front wing, and now he's just a passenger, really.
Yeah, I'm out.
Because he's collided on the right-hand side with the Sauber going past him.
Proper pincer movement, that one. It wasn't his fault.
Stoffel Van Dorn, McLaren have told him to get punchy at the start, get your elbows out. He very much did that with Brendan Hartley there, and 10 years on from Toro Rosso's only podium and win in Formula One of their cars is out on the first lap. Their other car, Pierre Gasly, losing places at the start, down to 11th. Fernando Alonso making up places. He is now 10th. Also making up places, Grosjean and Sainz and Ocon and Stroll as well, and Sergei Sorokin making it 2 Williams in that top 10. Safety car is in. We can get racing again. Hamilton pulls out from the slipstream of Kimi Raikkonen.
Raikkonen's not allowed to go fast and slow down again. He's gone though, he's bolted. But Hamilton in a great position for a slipstream down the pit straight. Raikkonen though with a good exit from Parabolica. Here comes Hamilton.
And Verstappen just behind them. Then with Valtteri Bottas just behind him. And Carlos Sainz is making a move on Grosjean as Hamilton makes a move on Raikkonen. Gives him a little nudge towards the right-hand side. Hamilton moves into the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. And down into the first chicane. Grosjean is scrapping away with Sainz, who has to go over the safety bumps. Behind them comes Esteban Ocon, but Lewis Hamilton wasted no time whatsoever to get past Kimi Raikkonen as Grosjean fights his way past Carlos Sainz again, and here comes Kimi Raikkonen back for round 2. Raikkonen regains the lead of the Italian Grand Prix, and Monza goes wild.
Raikkonen not in the championship fight in terms of the points that his teammate has got, but he's not giving any quarter to Hamilton whatsoever. A brilliant comeback there. We've not even got the DRS rear wing, but Raikkonen went at the Ascari chicane and then thought better of it, and that put Hamilton on his tail and a slipstream down the pit straight with a motor turned up to 11, no doubt, as well, where Raikkonen then returned the compliment.
It's all about the power, and on this occasion the glory eventually goes to Kimi Raikkonen, getting past Lewis Hamilton out of that chicane there. Fabulous stuff, and they are neck and neck again, and we're going to go for it again down this main straight. Hamilton through the parabolica, getting disturbed by the turbulent air of the Ferrari. Is he close enough to make a move?
Hamilton had a lot of oversteer in the middle of parabolica. Still no DRS until the end of the second lap after the safety car. But I would imagine Hamilton will treat the back of that Ferrari like the hind legs of a donkey. He's got Vettel down in 17th place. He cannot afford to trip over Kimi Raikkonen.
And here we go again then, through the curve of Grande. Hamilton chasing Kimi Raikkonen, Carlos Sainz chasing Romain Grosjean, Sergei Sorokin chasing Lance Stroll. This time around, Kimi has got the power and maybe a heavier right foot because he's managed to stay ahead. Raikkonen leads Hamilton, leads Verstappen, Bottas and Grosjean.
And possible debris between turns 6 and 7.
Here comes Daniel Ricciardo on Stoffel Van Dorn into that chicane. Sebastian Vettel watches on as Daniel Ricciardo moves himself up into 15th, and now Sebastian Vettel follows him, and he's getting very close into the first of the Lesmo corners. Sebastian Vettel on the charge, being relegated right down to the back of the grid after tangling with Lewis Hamilton on the opening lap.
But of course Vettel has at least got his pit stop out of the way now. If he can get to the end on these tyres, which is highly probable.
He is still a force to be reckoned with in this race. Don't count out Sebastian Vettel late on. Ricciardo has also got a pit stop out of the way as well, so it'll be very interesting to see how long he can go on those super soft tyres. Paul di Resta is at Sky Race Control. Plenty already, Paul, for you to take a look at.
There is, Crofty, and I just want to pick on exactly what Sebastian Vettel and what you were saying with him with that pit stop having been done. He was sleeping at the restart. I don't know what he expected if Kimi was going to go that early, but he was way behind, like 150 metres behind the next car as he crossed the line to take the restart. Couldn't put the challenge on, and that's where he's lost out a bit of time. Obviously he can make a charge now, but those seconds are critical.
Sergio Perez and Kevin Magnussen through the Lesmos. There's no room there, and you can see it. Bodywork coming off the Force India and also the Haas as the stewards decide no further action between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. Racing incident is how they're describing that one. Here's the Renault of Nico Hülkenberg. He's behind his teammate for next year, Daniel Ricciardo, and he'll stay behind his teammate, Daniel Ricciardo, for next year for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, so Ricciardo's made the pass on this lap, and Vettel's next up. The Red Bull going reasonably well, actually. Verstappen only 2.7 seconds off the lead at the moment. But Raikkonen then has got a golden opportunity to win the Italian Grand Prix for Ferrari. And Lewis Hamilton stays just about within DRS range, which of course is now enabled.
Last time Kimi Raikkonen started on pole here in 2006, he finished second in the race. This time around, he is leading the race at Monza. And he's in a great position, isn't he, as we watch from the cockpit of his teammate Sebastian Vettel. Vettel's disappointment, Raikkonen's jubilation, contrasting fortunes for both Ferrari drivers. He can't get out of DRS threat though, Kimi Raikkonen. Hamilton sticking with him well so far as we look further back here. Here's the McLaren of Fernando Alonso. He's got Sergio Perez, I was going to say behind him, he's alongside him now. Into turn one we go, lock up there for Fernando Alonso, but he keeps the place, holds his line and zooms off around the curve of Grande, still in 10th place, Martin.
Yeah, Vettel has passed Hülkenberg on the way into Parabolica, I think. So some pretty adventurous lines they've been taking through the chicanes. Lots of cheating going on there as they're desperately trying to recover their cars. Back in the day, would have been gravel tracks, they'd have been out of the race, but I think I'd rather see them all still in the race, of course.
Look at Sebastian Vettel and his eagerness to get on the throttle there in the distance, getting all out of shape, coming out of the Rogier chicane. Fastest man on the track is Lewis Hamilton at the moment. He is 9/10 of a second behind Kimi Raikkonen. Max Verstappen holding on to third place at the moment. Christian Horner. Is Max Verstappen in for another lonely but ultimately successful afternoon for the second race weekend in a row, I wonder?
He's got the close attention of Bottas behind him, so he's got a bit on, and he's just hanging in there at the moment. So needs to try and stick in that slipstream.
Meanwhile, his teammate giving it absolutely everything, Daniel Ricciardo. He's right behind Charles Leclerc at the moment, but I don't think for much longer. Why did you bring him in for a pit stop? Can he go to the end on those super soft tyres?
We'll see. There's not much between the tyres, but yeah, Daniel woke up this morning, and I think he had shredded wheat for breakfast, so he's fully motivated for this race. He was fully pumped up going into it.
He seems to be fast enough to hold Vettel off at the moment as he makes his way through the traffic, and we know he is the last of the late breakers, isn't he, especially here.
Absolutely, and I think that you'll see a lot of overtaking from him this afternoon. He's fully pumped. I think you're about to see one in a minute, actually. So yeah, let's see how much progress he can make.
All right, here he goes then. Charles Leclerc's got ahead of Pierre Gasly. You might want to talk about that ahead of next year. Daniel Ricciardo goes down the inside, and I think he's just touched Pierre Gasly there, Christian. There might have been the briefest of touches between the Toro Rosso and the Red Bull. How did you see it?
Yeah, hopefully there wasn't any debris there, so hopefully it hasn't clipped the front wing, but we're just asking him if he's had any contact.
It's putting a little bit more into the clutches, of course, of Sebastian Vettel, who's understeering his way around the second Lesmo in the slipstream of that Ferrari. Hopefully the front wing they put on, or I would be absolutely sure the front wing they put on had exactly the same settings as the one that he broke up against Hamilton.
Thank you very much indeed, Christian Horner. We'll be back with you a little later. Such a chaotic start to this Italian Grand Prix. There's Ricciardo going a bit wide out of the Ascari chicane. Might have cost him the chance to get past the Sauber and the Toro Rosso. As down the inside into Parabolica, Sebastian Vettel's having a look on Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo's going wide. The door is open for Sebastian Vettel then to step in. And at the moment, the man who started second is 15th. Pulls out from behind the rear wing of the Red Bull, and he's now 14th, and there might have been a bit of debris and a bit of contact on that front wing of Daniel Ricciardo from the incident with Gasly, because there's bits flying off there as Vettel gets past.
And Vettel knew full well that Ricciardo would try and come back at him. It's almost a traffic jam on the apex of turn 2.
I don't know who's getting more and more involved and enthralled by this race so far. Martin and myself in the commentary box on this wasp that keeps buzzing us as well. Keeps trying to get to the window of the commentary box to see what's going on. I'm not surprised as Leclerc, like a squealing pig with the tyres sliding on the tarmac there, locks up, and that lock-up allows Sebastian Vettel to get through, and Vettel has now moved up into 13th place.
Leclerc fancies his chances in a Ferrari next year. He's not going to be holding that one up.
No, not at all. Reports that he might be closer to a Ferrari move than many of us think at the moment. Let's see if he can hold off Daniel Ricciardo into the Ascari chicane. Ricciardo swapped to the right-hand side, and Leclerc's got the inside line here. Ricciardo tries to go around the outside, but can't force his way past. Out in front, still 9/10 of a second between Raikkonen and Hamilton. Back to 4 seconds adrift now for Max Verstappen, and Valtteri Bottas a second behind him as we ride on board with Hamilton, still chasing Kimi Raikkonen.
They had a little bit of time behind the safety car. If they keep the relentless pace up, fuel might be an issue in the closing stages, but that safety car just took the worst of that challenge out of it for them. None of them will want to run 1 kilo more fuel than they have to. They often start the race slightly under fuel.
Now, Fernando Alonso is coming in, and I don't think this is a scheduled pit stop by any means. And he is trundling at what looks like less than 80 kilometers an hour.
The same problem. What a shame.
Ted Kravitz, you can see Fernando coming in.
No engine. The engine's cut, so he might well have done it before just to save the engine for Singapore, a race McLaren hope that will be a little bit better for them. But yeah, it's been a problem since the start of the race. And they've been monitoring it, nothing they can do about it. So that's a retirement. And what could be his last Italian Grand Prix.
His first retirement here since 2014. Sad way for Fernando Alonso to bow out in front of the Italian fans who were cheering his name in 2010 when he won here for Ferrari.
Hamilton's been on the radio. For now, I can stay here in Raikkonen's dirty air. Tyres feel good.
But for the moment, he's out of DRS range. He's still in that dirty air, but he's just drifted for just a brief second and through the DRS detection zone. They measure that 1 second gap and just drifted outside the magic number. Nico Hülkenberg running in 15th place at the moment. He's got Charles Leclerc in his sights.
Both Williams up in the World Championship points as well in 8th and 9th. Stroll and Sorokin 1 second apart.
Here comes Nico Hulkenberg then on Charles Leclerc, picking up a very good slipstream, and he's passed him. And once again, further ahead, Gasly and Ricciardo tangle through that first chicane. This is getting a bit messy for both the Toro Rosso driver and the Red Bull driver.
Sister teams, Gasly's taking over Ricciardo's seat next year and just wants to show what a feisty driver he is as well, but that is the second time they've touched.
At this rate, when Gasly does take it over, they'll have to repair Ricciardo's seat. It might be a bit dented through some of these. Let's watch again into that first chicane. Ricciardo late on the brakes. Well, that could have been a lot worse than it was.
Let's put that one down to Daniel. That was a day late and $1 short. I don't think Gasly should necessarily have. There's a point where you're monitoring your rival. There appears to be a little bit of a blue dot in your mirrors. That's the problem with some of Daniel's moves. And then you transfer your focus to the apex, of course, you know, once you've slowed the car down. So I think that one was just a bit too bold from Daniel.
Just before we get to grips with another possible chance for Ricciardo, down to Sky Race Control and Paul di Resta.
Yeah, just watching the timing screens, Crofty. We reckoned it was about 23, 24 seconds you needed for a pit stop. That's Kimi that far in front of Vettel. So Lewis is right on the cusp as well. But Vettel lapping about a second a lap slower at the moment than what they're doing at the front. So it looks like he may have to settle for third at best at the moment. That's if he can get through the traffic as well.
Sorokin holding off Perez. Thank you, Paul. We'll see how that all evolves in the latter stages of this race. Another safety car would be absolutely perfect for Sebastian Vettel, but we've had one. We're not due another one now for at least 7 more years, I'm sure, given the Monza record. Ocon behind Sainz. They're all very close together. This midfield scrap is absolutely epic this afternoon, Martin, because no one's seeming to be able to pull away enough to be comfortable.
Absolutely, they've got similar speed, but they've got Vettel catching them up now. There's a replay of that.
So this is Daniel Ricciardo
getting
on
it
Pierre
done.
Gasly.
He's obviously been told, get out of the way.
Yes, that time around, an awful lot easier. And a bit more margin for Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, that was a wave bite.
So, Kimi Raikkonen still out in the lead then. Kimi Raikkonen, who hasn't won a race since Australia in 2013. This is his 108th start since he won that race. He has the chance today to set a record, Martin, for the biggest gap between victories in Formula One history. Riccardo Patrese is the current record holder. It was 99 for Patrese. No one's ever gone more than 100 Grand Prix between victories. And Kimi Raikkonen on lap 13 of this Italian Grand Prix has 40 more laps to contend with. Who knows what's going to happen, but that new record could be his.
And remember how Sebastian Vettel was annoyed yesterday. He felt that he should have been the one getting the slipstream as he's hunting down the championship. Best part of 3 race victories ahead of his teammate with 8 races to go. And of course, you know, he's ended up out of position, hasn't he, on the first lap, Bill? And a little bit like when Ferrari, they on completely different strategies. They didn't move Raikkonen when they should have done back in Hockenheim, and he ends up making a mistake. His mistake, but he was under more pressure than he needed to be. You had Verstappen doing a great job on keeping the second Mercedes, the other Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas at bay.
Yes, you would imagine the Mercedes power would be a bit too much, but at the moment, Bottas is having to stick behind that rear wing. Now, behind them, just looking here at the likes of Sainz, Ocon, Stroll, Sorokin and Perez having a great old scrap, as I mentioned. Here's Ocon coming up to Carlos Sainz, but Sebastian Vettel is closing in on this particular scrap as well.
Yeah, and closing pretty fast. He is lapping now in clear air about the same pace as the leaders, but how he gets through this little gaggle is going to make the big difference as to where he ends up at the end of this Grand Prix. And it's always double dangerous trying to overtake drivers who are in their own mighty scrap as well.
And don't have to move out of the way for blue flags, of course. Great move from Esteban Ocon there with DRS, it has to be said, but he got that all sorted out nice and quickly, and he moves himself into the top 6 ahead of the man who qualified here yesterday, 7th on the grid on his 24th birthday. Nice move.
Yeah, the DRS very, very powerful again, isn't it?
Good job, mate. Get your head down and go now.
I imagine that's exactly what he's going to do, because he's fighting for his future as well and trying to show people exactly what he can do with an uncertain future next season. No team that he's signed to as yet, and seats running out.
Yeah, absolutely. Ocon in a very strange position. Force India were absolutely destroyed after yesterday's qualifying. They made a mistake in thinking they were through with Perez. Then he had a fuel pump issue on Ocon's car as well, for good measure. Is this one up the inside of Ascari? One down already.
So Sebastian Vettel says hello and goodbye, and Sergei Sirotkin moves out of the points.
I think there's still some damage. Balance is quite a bit off.
Understood. So we do see from data.
And it is worth remembering the damage to that Ferrari from the tangle with Lewis Hamilton on the opening lap, Martin. He's having to cope with bits that should be there for him this weekend.
And every time we've gone on board, it's been understeering. The front's not gripped up enough. That's why I mentioned about the front wing setting that went on. But it certainly doesn't look pointy. It doesn't look like he's turning the steering wheel and the back end wants to overtake him. It just looks like the front's not gripping as it should.
Valtteri Bottas is getting a little bit closer to Max Verstappen here as well.
Because that bit that flew through the air didn't look like front wing piece, did it? It looked more like a barge board. But would certainly would hurt, would give him more drag, and could well hurt the front downforce.
Raikkonen from Hamilton by a second. 6 seconds back is this gap, this battle, I should say, Verstappen and Bottas. Whilst Verstappen can't see much ahead, that's probably a good thing, Martin, because he'll have been looking in his wing mirrors for the past few laps as Bottas comes back at him. But where I think Verstappen has been very cute here is getting out of DRS range at the right moments. There are times Bottas can fight him back, but through the corners, Verstappen seems to be finding a good groove and a good rhythm out there.
He does. Verstappen really driving nicely. Had that scruffy phase, didn't he? 5 or 6 races where he just couldn't stop running into things, and he's driven beautifully since then.
Sebastian Vettel into the parabolica behind Lance Stroll as Williams got into Q3 for the first time this season, and Stroll made it 2 visits to Monza and 2 top 10 starts. But can that Williams hold off the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel, who's right behind him and is getting ever closer as we go over 360 kilometers an hour? Then he pulls out to the right-hand side, Sebastian Vettel, and then he makes his move past Lance Stroll. So he's up into 9th spot, and he's got Perez just ahead.
And Perez made a hash of the first chicane, was really slow in between the two, trying to collect the car up, so that's put Vettel straight into his slipstream for good measure. Vettel making his way through this pack very nicely indeed.
So this now is going to start to attract the attention, Martin, of the strategy team on Raikkonen's side of the garage, and also Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes as well. If it's a 24-second gap, a loss that you're going to have for making a pit stop, and Vettel at the moment is about 25.5 seconds behind Hamilton, do Mercedes need to stop early to give them track position with Vettel coming up at them?
Well, they can push. They can certainly push Ferrari into having to react to them. Will you get an overcut or an undercut this afternoon in terms of the fresh tyres? Sometimes you don't immediately gain advantage. Depends how much degradation they've got. So Vettel now up into 9th place. He's got to very quickly then get past Perez, Sainz and Ocon. Grosjean's in there as well in 5th place, doing a fine job.
Of course, he's getting some DRS assistance, Vettel, as well, helping his lap times as he makes his way through the field. As we watch down from the helicam, you can see the Scarlet Ferrari, and you can see...
Oh, he's gone deep, he's
gone a bit deep, that he can get past Perez, but can't make it stick. That's not what Sebastian Vettel was planning at all there.
He'd already overtaken him. He sort of double overtook him there and paid a heavy price for it. That's exactly what he can't afford.
Ted, let's head down to you.
We're about 4 or 5 laps for any decent pit window to open for a one-stop, Crofty. And I know what you mean about Mercedes. They're going to have to keep an eye on Vettel. But do they think you can go to the end of the race on this one set of soft tyres? Pirelli say this one set of soft tyres, but only do 40 laps, and it's a 53-lap race. So that'll be optimistic for Vettel. He'll try and make it, but yeah, they'll try and have their cake and eat it. Cut pit to remain ahead of Vettel, and try and put Raikkonen under pressure from an undercut with the fresh tyres.
Don't forget the laps behind the safety car, of course. That will take 2 or 3 laps out of the equation on that, but you're right, Ted. They'll still be a little bit short in Pirelli's predictions on this one.
Yeah, Vettel he's lost himself a good second on the lap, and maybe more. It's that kind of thing that opens the window up for Raikkonen and particularly Hamilton.
Certainly helps, doesn't it? So on board then with Lewis Hamilton, he's back to within a second of Kimi Räikkönen here. So he's given his tyres and his front brakes a bit of breathing space, and he's coming back at the fin once more as Sebastian Vettel comes back at Sergio Perez once more, and this time he doesn't go deep into the chicane, and this time he does make the pass on Perez, who too is suffering from body damage after his clash with Kevin Magnussen. Vettel up to 8th.
The left rear tyre of the Ferrari doesn't look particularly healthy. If you have a look at it, I don't know if it's blistering or pickup. We'll have to get a better look at it, but certainly it is a bit angry. The surface of Vettel's tyres not suggesting to me they're looking happy for a Grand Prix distance.
So let's take you through the field then from back to the top. Kevin Magnussen having a bit of a wretched race at the moment, running down in 18th place.
Okay, copy, just keep the information coming.
Hamilton's tyres are good. Magnussen suffered bodywork damage when he clashed with Sergio Perez. Marcus Ericsson, who had the brush with Brendan Hartley right at the start, running in 17th place. Van Dorn, who cut across the front wing of Brendan Hartley at the start, is running in 16th. Charles Leclerc for Sauber. Bottas makes a move on Verstappen, and Verstappen locks up and then has to go over the speed bumps. He stays ahead of Bottas and might just have gained a little bit by going over the speed humps there.
Yeah, a bit annoying, isn't it, that can happen. But Bottas had just put in his fastest lap of the Grand Prix and getting well into the DRS zone, and realises he needs to start getting punchy.
Pierre Gasly has had his moments with Daniel Ricciardo. Eventually Ricciardo got past him, but that left him down in 14th. Hulkenberg has stopped for new tyres under the safety car, runs 13th at the moment, with Ricciardo, who's also stopped just ahead of him. This is the lock-up, Bottas locking up as well.
Yeah, it was sort of a half an overtake there.
He was nowhere near a pass there, Max. Didn't need to worry.
Bit of reassurance there from his race engineer. They both locked up.
It looks standing here, look, you know, when you're putting 5G under braking from 220 miles an hour down to a very slow first apex, then it really does look an awful lot closer.
Top two coming down the main straight now. Paul di Resta's at Sky Race Control.
Yeah, just looking back at that, Crofty, I think Max was quite wise there. I think he saw him right at the last minute in his mirror and had to open up the corner. If not, Bottas might have made contact. Bottas was a little bit further away and he needed to make that. So Max, you can see he's got him well stuck in the mirror, so he needs to keep his head down and try and get a bit of a gap, because that Mercedes is mighty strong.
Yeah, it was a half-hearted move. It wasn't even really a move, was it? It was about distracting the driver in front, and it certainly did that.
On board with Sebastian Vettel then. Carlos Sainz, goodbye and adios. Might be the cry there from Sebastian Vettel, who is now up into 7th place. The Ferrari power more than a match for the Renault engine, and he continues to slice his way through the field. Does Sebastian Vettel. He's got Sainz now behind him. He's in the points. He's got Esteban Ocon just ahead in the other Force India. Romain Grosjean before he can make it his way towards Valtteri Bottas, and there's a big gap between Grosjean and Bottas that he can run in some clear air and just bang in those lap times.
Just can't help feel that Hamilton's got the advantage, got the upper hand there. He can quite comfortably follow the Ferrari.
And they are waiting, possibly, down at Mercedes for somebody to come in. And they're waiting at Ferrari, possibly, for Kimi Räikkönen, the race leader, to come in. So Räikkönen making his stop, and making his stop early. Off go the super soft tyres, on go the soft tyres, which they think will now last to the end. Hamilton, Verstappen and Bottas all go past. Romain Grosjean just coming out of Parabolica, so Räikkönen will slot into 4th.
So Hamilton then has been told, do whatever he doesn't do. So if he comes in, you stay out. If he stays out, you pit, is what was going on there.
So, first roll of the dice goes to Ferrari.
So it's hammer time, Lewis.
We haven't heard hammer time for quite some time, and now is the time. Paul di Resta.
Yeah, Crofty, did you see how difficult Mercedes made it for the Ferrari to have to drive round them into the box? You can lose about a second and a half trying to be careful. They didn't have that nice straight line, so this is hammer time.
Yeah, well, we'll see it now. There's the Mercedes crew all out there. That's an example of exactly what Paul was saying. But is that right? Are you allowed to do that, Martin? Does that count as a bit of a bluff or not?
Well, yes. If if you are intending, strategy is allowed in there. If you are intending to make a bona fide pit stop, you can't risk your men, just put them out there for fun to try to spoil somebody else's stop.
Right, so this could be where the net lead of the race is decided. Lewis Hamilton carries on for another lap of hammer time. The Mercedes crew are out there. Verstappen carries on, Bottas carries on as well. And Hamilton's just set a 1:23.6 for a new fastest lap of the race. But Kimi Räikkönen on his outlap is starting to bang in some fast sector times as well.
And Räikkönen...
Staying out, you have pace.
And Räikkönen in clear air for good measure through this phase. He's going to catch Magnussen, Bottas and Verstappen, though, in a few more laps' time.
So Kimi Räikkönen put in a fastest middle sector and final sector of that lap. Hamilton might have pace, but is it enough pace to carry on like this and still be ahead of Kimi Räikkönen when he pits?
They'll look at that sector by sector now, because I think...
And Hamilton stayed out. Kimi, we need to push. It's the critical moment now.
This is it.
It is very much the critical moments. I really wish I could see the Mercedes garage from our commentary box to tell you if they're coming out again or not. We can look at the pit wall there. There's the chief strategist, James Vowles, who will make that decision on when Lewis Hamilton comes in for his pit stop.
Räikkönen didn't have a particularly good first sector or middle sector. Hamilton's much faster on this lap, much faster. 4-5 tenths up in the first two sectors.
Ted, you can monitor everything in the pit lane for us.
Well, they need to give him at least this lap, maybe another one to make up that 24-second gap, don't they? So no action yet.
Right, and that gap at the moment then, well, the end of the last lap was 22.5 seconds. Bottas has got Verstappen in his sights. Is he going to go for it? Late braking into the first chicane. Late braking, but a car length behind still.
Just one more lap, Lewis, come on, let's have it.
They all know how crucial these laps are for the destiny of the winner of this year's Italian Grand Prix.
And by the end of that lap, Räikkönen was a few thousandths faster. So it's going to be, oh, so close, isn't it, between them? At the moment, I sense Räikkönen might just... So he's 22.5 seconds behind Hamilton. At the moment, it's in Räikkönen's command, isn't it?
And put yourself in the hands and the minds of the crew waiting to make this tyre change as well. Because they, like everyone else, Martin, knows what they do could make the difference.
Just one more lap, Lewis, come on, let's have it.
Hamilton's doing his bit. The crew need to do their bit as well. Ferrari have done their bit for Kimi Räikkönen. Looking at the sector times, Räikkönen's quicker by a tenth through the first sector on this lap. So the balance swings to him once more. Hamilton staying out for another lap of this race before he pits.
So
It's raining a little bit back of the circuit. There are some small showers, 6 and 7.
And I wonder if that too, Martin, is delaying the pit stop down at Mercedes, because if they think it is going to rain, no point coming in for dry tyres just yet as Räikkönen sets a new fastest lap of the race.
To be quite a lot of rain before you'd bother coming in for intermediates, of course. But Räikkönen is going to start catching Magnussen now. And Bottas and Verstappen up the road. He needs to clear Magnussen very quickly indeed.
Sebastian Vettel's catching Esteban Ocon, and Sebastian Vettel has passed Esteban Ocon. He's moved himself up then into fifth place there, and a round of applause. Down the inside he goes on the Force India into that first chicane. He has gone from last now up into fifth place.
I'm sure Mercedes will be thinking of leaving Bottas out as well to see if he can interrupt the progress of Räikkönen's Ferrari.
Yeah, Magnussen's not going to interrupt him. He'll get blue flags shown to him in a moment because he's one of the back markers, having an absolute wretched race, sadly for him today. And what's happened here to Daniel Ricciardo? Oh, he's had a new engine, the new C-Spec engine fitted to his Red Bull, and it is smoking away like an old industrial mill chimney, quite frankly, and that is well worth a shake of their heads down at Red Bull for Daniel Ricciardo, who is forced yet again to retire from a race through mechanical problems, none of which he could do anything to avoid.
Meanwhile, Räikkönen 22 seconds behind. We think it's the best part of 24, so it's 21 now. We think it's the best part of 24 seconds you need for a pit stop, including overall slowing down, getting into your garage, getting a new set of tyres and out again. You lose a lot of time here, because when you're on the pit straight, you're doing well over 200 miles an hour as opposed to 50 miles an hour, 80 Ks down the pit lane.
So double waved yellows by the side of the track as Ricciardo gets out of his car, and they're going to have to move it away. This is the 4th time in 6 races he's had to retire.
I got smoke, I don't know what it is. Do I stop?
We don't know what that is at the moment.
Okay, I heard something breaking for one.
So the new C-spec engine looks, Martin, to prove about as reliable as some of the previous specs that Red Bull have had in that car.
Sadly, Renault don't use it themselves, do they?
No.
At the moment, Red Bull tried it. They thought it had extra power. So Raikkonen is really punishing those tyres of his. That's ended up in quite a difficult place. Are they going to think of a safety car here?
The safety car standing by.
Safety car?
Safety car standing by. We've got double waved yellows at the moment. Nico Rosberg watching on from the paddock here, throwing yet another variable into when Mercedes pit Hamilton and Bottas, and whether Kimi Raikkonen regains the lead after the round of pit stops.
Yeah, this is nail-biting stuff out there at the moment. If the safety car or VSC comes out now, Lewis will win this race. So it's really touch and go. If not, then Raikkonen is going for the win, because Lewis is going to drop out back behind Raikkonen, even though Lewis did some phenomenal lap times there on those used tires of his, but Kimi on the new softs was just too fast. So that's the way it's looking at the moment.
As long as Kimi's not taking too much energy out of his tires, and he should be fine.
Nico, I'll give you a question here. If we gave you the opportunity, would you want to be in Kimi Raikkonen's position or Lewis Hamilton's at the moment?
Well, Kimi, because he's the one who's in front at the moment if you're calculating times. But of course, Kimi has a bit of risk, because if he ends up with some traffic, or as I said, with safety car or whatever, then his win is gone. But at the moment, the odds are in favor of Kimi. And just to conclude, also, I want to go against your opinion, Martin and Crofty, about the start incident between Lewis and Sebastian. I think it was 100% Sebastian's fault, because Lewis left all the room and Sebastian just went in too deep, collided into Lewis and spun him around, and it was really not good.
Interesting. So that you'd agree, no further action, because the man who was at fault, in your opinion, came off the worst.
Well, no, that's irrespective. The action is just with respect to the incident, and they judged it a racing incident, which is okay, because it was really minor, so it was all good. But Sebastian's fault, and I can't believe that. I mean, over and over, he keeps doing these mistakes, and he's not going to become world champion if he keeps doing these things. That's not how you're going to be able to beat Lewis Hamilton.
Look, I'm really looking forward to the debrief this afternoon. Thanks ever so much, Nico. If you agree or disagree with anything he's just said, hashtag Ask Crofty, and we'll put some tweets Nico's way after this race as Verstappen comes in and out again in 4th place.
I'll stick with my 50-50. It was a squeeze and an understeer, and they met in the middle, and that's why I think no further action was spot on.
Right, well, when we read out the tweets, I want you and Nico stood head-to-head, toe-to-toe, the stare-off.
That's the wonderful thing about sport, isn't it? It's about passion, emotion, opinion.
Yeah, I'll be the referee. You two just go for it. I like this. Soft tyres on Kimi Raikkonen's Ferrari, and he is in 3rd place at the moment, but he has made his stop. Ahead of him, Valtteri Bottas, who hasn't made his stop. Ahead of Bottas, Lewis Hamilton, who hasn't still made his stop either.
So Bottas will come into play then. Bottas now coming into play for Mercedes. They're surely not going to pit him, are they, while he can interrupt the pace of the Ferrari. The two Finns, they can get pretty fighty amongst themselves as well, can't they?
Yeah.
Bottas and Raikkonen, but Bottas continues. So a bit of team play going on here from Mercedes, because Vettel right out of the picture can't join in.
So keep Kimi behind you.
There you go.
So is the idea here then that if Valtteri keeps Kimi behind him, Lewis Hamilton can pit, maybe come back out in the lead, or maybe come back just behind Kimi Raikkonen, but have fresher tyres towards the end. It's a low-risk strategy because they're not forcing him to go too long on his next set of tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. Bit of blistering on the right front there of Lewis on the, they ran 3 degrees front camber leaning in here. That's why they tend to, and that's the left rear. That's a strange pattern on that left rear. It's not blistering. You don't lock the rears up like you lock the fronts up, and if you do, because of the weight transfer, they don't flat spot in like the same way. But that looks like bona fide rain down there, Crofty.
And that looks like a set of tyres coming out from that Mercedes garage into the pit lane for Lewis Hamilton, who locks up and gets to the line, presses the pit limiter to go to 80 kilometres an hour just in time, giving it everything right up to that particular moment. Very nice change indeed. 2.4 seconds at the stop by the crew. So here comes Valtteri Bottas with Kimi Räikkönen right behind him. Lewis Hamilton is edging his way down the pit lane at the moment. Will come out then behind Kimi Räikkönen, as he has been for most of this race, and quite a way back from Kimi Räikkönen. But Räikkönen now has to try and force his way past Valtteri Bottas. Can Bottas hold up the Ferrari for long enough to bring Hamilton back into play?
Raikkonen's tyres 8 laps older. Shouldn't be as big an issue here as at some tracks.
Here comes Max Verstappen making a move on fresh tyres past Esteban Ocon. Verstappen then back up the field. He's now running in 5th place. His team boss, Christian Horner, is watching on. Christian, first and foremost, what happened to Daniel Ricciardo? Was it the engine?
We're not totally sure at the moment, so until we get the car back, it's going to be one of those that could be one of several things.
And if that's another engine, Christian, you're heading to Singapore, a race you do fancy your chances at winning, that would be really bad news.
It would. We still have a B-spec, I think, available to us, so you know, it just makes the rest of the season a little bit harder.
Was there any warning, anything on the telemetry showing you that something might be a problem?
Yeah, Daniel reported he you know, was getting some vibrations and so on, so and then shortly after that you saw the smoke.
So Verstappen, though, is your hope for this race, back up into 5th place now. Is that where you kind of expect him to be at the end, or can he make a further challenge?
Well, that pass on Ocon was crucial to try and keep. At the moment, he's still just ahead of Bottas if he were to pit. So these laps are crucial. And of course, Sebastian's there a little exposed with warm tyres.
It's been a magnificent race so far, hasn't it? One of the best Italian Grand Prix I can remember for a while. Where would you want to be at the moment? Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel comes in again. Those tyres were affecting. Would you want to be Ferrari with Räikkönen or Mercedes with Hamilton if you had the choice?
I don't have more focus on my cars at the moment, so ask me at the end.
We'll ask you at the end, Christian. Thank you. 2.9 seconds Vettel's pit stop. Little bit longer there. Ted, did you see any problems, any issues?
No, it's just that Ferrari are a little bit steady, but that was the right stop at the right time for Vettel's. Tyres were starting to go off. They weren't going to make it to the end. So if you know they're not going to make it to the end, you've got to get the best out of the red stripe super soft tyres. So he will be a factor towards the end of this race.
Yeah, but a victory will be extremely difficult, of course. Can he get on the podium? That's really the question. Hamilton's flying along, but of course Raikkonen's about to get DRS now from the Mercedes in front.
Yeah, copy Lewis, but Valtteri's still out there.
Hamilton just wanting to get a clearer understanding of the strategy. This is what I detected from the less than clear radio message that came out. DRS for Kimi Räikkönen. Won't get him past Valtteri Bottas on this occasion. Bottas now having to do a very sterling defensive job for his team.
Hamilton 1.5 seconds faster than Räikkönen on that lap. And again, the left rear of Räikkönen not looking particularly happy already. Remember, he went out and absolutely punished those tyres to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and a bit of oversteer in the middle of Parabolica to boot, so he needs to clear that Mercedes very quickly.
We are on lap 31 of 53, an Italian Grand Prix that has absolutely flown by here and has been full of drama and incident. Valtteri Bottas leads the race. He has not made a pit stop yet. Kimi Räikkönen got away well at the start, avoided the trouble behind him. He has pitted, as has Lewis Hamilton in 3rd place and Max Verstappen in 4th. Sebastian Vettel is down in 10th place at the moment. He's had to stop twice, originally for a new set of tyres and a change of front wing as well, because he made contact with Lewis Hamilton at the 2nd chicane on the opening lap that the steward said was a racing incident, but it put Vettel from 2nd place all the way down to the rear of the field. We have lost Brendan Hartley right at the start after being pincered by both Stoffel Van Dorn and Marcus Ericsson. We've lost Fernando Alonso with a mechanical problem and Daniel Ricciardo with what looks like another engine problem for him. And the action continues as we watch from by the old banking into the 1st chicane. Kimi Räikkönen still being held at bay by Valtteri Bottas.
Valtteri Bottas, that's his personal best of the race, so he's not exactly coasting. But what he'll be making sure is he's fast in all the right parts, i.e. the second half of each of the long straights.
And that gap then between Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Räikkönen comes down now to about 2.5 seconds. Hamilton gaining all the time on Kimi Räikkönen, who he did get ahead of at the start, and then Räikkönen came back at him to retake the place.
Ferrari has been punishing its left rear on these soft tyres.
Here goes Sebastian Vettel again for the second time in this race. Lance Stroll is passed by the Ferrari, and he is up into 8th, trying to charge through the field. Can he get to Max Verstappen? And 4th place, I wonder. On a fresher set of tyres than those around him, it's a real ask for Sebastian Vettel this afternoon. It's damage limitation for the man who came into this race hoping to cut down on Lewis Hamilton's championship lead.
Yeah, and Vettel is 20 seconds behind Verstappen at this stage. We'll keep an eye on that. This might be a better chance if Räikkönen can keep it lined up through Parabolica. He's clearly in the DRS zone. This might be his chance. He's going to have to be so late on the brakes into turn 1.
It is crucial for Kimi Räikkönen's chances of winning this race that he clears Valtteri Bottas. Bottas is ahead. Räikkönen under late braking, can't get to within 3 or 4 car lengths, and once more he is going to have to complete a lap staring at the rear wing of that Mercedes. But if he looks in his wing mirrors, he'll see that the other Silver Arrow is getting much, much closer. As through the Curva Grande we go now towards the second chicane. Kimi once more, just that bit too far behind.
Bottas is just parking his Mercedes in the middle of the road and taking it easy. He's backing Räikkönen into his teammate Hamilton.
You're doing a really good job, Valtteri. You're pulling away from Verstappen. Kimi has blistered his left rear.
He has. And, well, you're doing a really good job, Valtteri, and we will get you out of here with dark windows tonight in your car. Because the Ferrari fans will be looking for you.
Yeah, it's a team ahead of country on this one. Mercedes ahead of Ferrari. Räikkönen is much, much closer down that back straight. But look, Hamilton is that much closer as they dive into the Parabolica once more. And they've got the length of this main straight to try and sort out the top 3 once more, because Valtteri Bottas isn't going to pit yet. He's holding up Kimi Räikkönen, but can he do it now for a 3rd lap in a row at a place where Räikkönen can get past? And is Hamilton now within DRS range, going to have a go as well? He's passed Räikkönen before here back in 2007. He locks up on this occasion and can't get past.
I reckon Hamilton might be up by Räikkönen before Räikkönen's by Bottas.
The way this is going.
And the Ferrari looks a handful mid-corner. It's just not giving him the rear grip he needs. Both Ferraris have damaged their left rear.
And this is a lock-up for Hamilton, looking for flat spots, Martin, which you don't want to get here.
No, not good. There will be some flat spots on there, but a good bit of cadence braking there by Lewis sort of saved the day.
The top 3, as they passed the line, were separated by 1.1 seconds. It is so close. Does Toto Wolff want to talk to anyone? And if so, who does he want to talk to and what does he want to say? Well done, Valtteri. Go for it, Lewis. Who knows what's going through his mind at the moment? Plenty of emotions, I'm sure. Stoffel Van Dorn is a back marker. You can see going through the Ascari chicane there, and will make way for the top 3 to come past. And they're pulling out to around 20 seconds clear now of Max Verstappen in 4th.
My goodness, Hamilton's going to have some straight line speed with a double toe, double 2 cars effectively with DRS as well, with Räikkönen himself. He's going to have such speed at the end of this straight.
2 toes then, time to let it go.
So you are on the limits on that rear left.
As Valtteri Bottas then, with Kimi Räikkönen right behind him, Lewis Hamilton right behind him, Stoffel Van Dorn at the head of a quartet here that he kind of didn't expect to be heading, I'm sure. And I wonder if that might just have saved Valtteri Bottas for that particular moment, because Kimi wasn't going to try any late lunges there, not with the McLaren lurking around as well. Van Dorn keeps to the left-hand edge of the track as the top 3 sweep past him, and they can scrap it out now without any back markers interfering with them.
It's costing Bottas position against Verstappen though, but he's doing the job the team wants and needs him to do.
Key is he'll have fresher tyres to get back at Verstappen right towards the end of the race, but you know, sometimes track position is more important, as Verstappen proved at the start of this race in thwarting Bottas then.
Lewis really getting the nose of that Mercedes in early to second Lesmo there.
Getting to the stage now, Martin, you think that Bottas has done a great job, but Hamilton needs to get past Raikkonen soon, or he's going to start having troubles with his tyres.
He's just lost a little bit of pace, hasn't he, Hamilton? He warned about his left rear tyres. He just letting that come back into the zone. Because as soon as we heard that radio message, he really hasn't been pushing anything like as hard.
Right, once more, down the main straight. You can see the tyre marbles, the bits of rubber on the edge of the parabolica. Tyres getting a bit of a pounding at these speeds. The Tifosi want to stand up and get the best view here as Bottas leads into the first chicane. Hamilton under braking. Gets close to Kimi Raikkonen, but nowhere near getting past him. And in the background, Stoffel Vandoorne and Charles Leclerc having a bit of a scrap. I think Vandoorne is now ahead of Leclerc. Ted, down to you.
I don't think Mercedes give a monkeys if Valtteri Bottas loses a place to Verstappen. He's doing the job they want. I haven't seen the Mercedes strategy team this aggressive for ages. Have you, Crofty? They have walked Kimi Raikkonen into a nasty Silver Arrows trap, and they are pulling it and seeing what they can get from it. But it's all about younger tyre life, isn't it? Just having those younger tyres later on. Just in front of me, Williams are making a stop. Can I just tell you about younger tyre life is what Force India are trying to do. Esteban Ocon has been is losing the place to Romain Grosjean at the moment. Ocon still hasn't stopped. Neither has Perez. Nice stop from the Williams. No, slow stop. Oh, they were very late getting the left rear on. Anyway, that's not made the Williams day any easier. But yeah, so Force India have to stay out longer and try and force past Grosjean on younger tyres later on in this race.
Speaking of tyres, Ted, I'm not convinced Raikkonen will get to the end of the race on this set of tyres.
Right, Bottas is coming in, and coming in now, Kimi Raikkonen regains the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Hamilton is a second behind him as he crosses the line. Valtteri Bottas, his sterling job is done, and he stops there. He stopped directly on his marks. It was a 2.4-second stop, exactly the same as Lewis Hamilton's, and he will make his way down the pit lane then to come out into this race behind Max Verstappen, I would imagine. Verstappen has just passed our commentary box, and Bottas settles back into this race, having led it, now in 4th place. Ted. Sorry, Paul, down at Sky Race Control.
Not a problem, Crofty. Crofty, I've just been doing some slow-mos down at Sky Race Control with the machine we've got. And although Raikkonen's rear left tyre looks in bad shape, Hamilton's really damaged his left front as well. Looks like he's got a blister.
We see some vibration from your rear tyres. Try to keep them alive.
Yeah, I've not caught a lock-up, so I think it's just purely load. He hit them very hard, so both guys are going to be in trouble towards the end of this Grand Prix, and who's going to come off better?
Lewis did lock his left front, didn't he, when he was really attacking Bottas and Raikkonen. So, but it wasn't a particularly bad lock-up. But I think they're now both nursing tyres. The soft hasn't really worked this afternoon, has it? It's not been a great tyre, certainly if you've been pushing it at the lap pace of a Ferrari and a Mercedes.
4 wins at Monza for Lewis Hamilton, all from pole position, aiming today for a 5th win and a first one that didn't come from pole position. Kimi Raikkonen, though, is leading this race. Just to remind you, it's 108 races since Kimi Raikkonen last took the checkered flag as the leader to win a Grand Prix. He's got 15 laps, Martin, to try and hang on here around the 11 corners and the long straights at Monza. The points difference between Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton is extended in Hamilton's favour. At the end of this race, he'll have a 29-point advantage, I think I just saw there in the background. But he wants to make it more. Can he get past Kimi Raikkonen? Can Raikkonen hold on? You do not want to go anywhere between now and the end of the checkered flag.
Bottas might have another Ferrari for company later on in the shape of Sebastian Vettel, but right now, 5th place looks where Vettel's heading to.
Hamilton's got DRS then on the run down towards the Ascari chicane. Kimi Raikkonen flicks that Ferrari left and then right, and Hamilton sticking with him as best as he can. The Scarlet Ferrari then scampers off into the distance, and Hamilton with his foot down in hot pursuit heads towards the Parabolica. That gap still within 1 second, so Hamilton will get DRS assistance once more, and that could prove crucial for him. The engine upgrade that Ferrari brought after the summer break has proved to be more powerful than the Mercedes engine that is in Lewis Hamilton's car, and at the moment he is keeping Hamilton at bay despite the fact that Hamilton's got DRS. Raikkonen, I wouldn't say it's comfortable, Martin, but it's not a bad margin he's got going through to that first chicane.
No, it's not too bad, but you can hear the Mercedes derate slightly at the end of the straight as it starts, it runs out of battery power and starts its charging up phase. But once again then, we've got Lewis Hamilton stalking, and that's a bold overtake into Ascari there for Vettel. So he'll clear the two Force Indias pretty quickly. In fact, it's just one Force India, isn't it?
Yeah,
because the other one is pitted. So now it is a question of whether he can catch Bottas and Verstappen, which is a tall order.
So interestingly enough here, Perez still running, hasn't pitted yet. Carlos Sainz running and hasn't pitted yet. Sainz in 7th. Grosjean gets past Ocon because of Ocon's pit stop. He's in 8th. Ocon 9th. Hulkenberg, who started right at the back of the grid, remember, currently running in 10th place for Renault and scoring a championship points. We haven't really mentioned Nico Hulkenberg much at all, but running a sterling race. I'm just going to see when he put his tyres on lap 1.
So back of the grid, of course.
Yeah, so can Hulkenberg on soft tyres go 52 laps in this race? Good strategy call from Renault if it gets him at least 1 point in this race. As Raikkonen from Hamilton once again, and Hamilton is that much closer to Kimi Raikkonen, but is still behind the Ferrari. Every lap, those in the grandstand stand up as the cars blast past our commentary box here, and they look towards the first chicane because they know that's where the action is going to happen, and they are praying, and they've got their hearts in very much with Kimi today to try and will him on to what would be the most popular victory, I'm sure, in Formula One for many a long year.
Yeah, they look a mess all round now, don't they? Three of those 4 tyres on Kimi Raikkonen's Ferrari look a mess, and you can see a flat spot on the left front of Lewis that we talked about when we were on board with him. No blistering though on the rest of them by the looks of it. And Bottas is starting to really catch Verstappen as well for the squabble over 3rd place at a pace that I don't think Vettel can do anything about.
So what you're basically saying, Martin, is neither the race leader nor the man chasing him in 2nd are really that happy on the tyres they've got at the moment.
Well, no, but you have to say Lewis has looked a whole lot better than the Ferrari tyres.
Yep, it ain't perfect, but they're going to have to stick with it. Sainz pits, and his teammate Nico Hulkenberg goes ahead of him as a result. Hulkenberg then up into 9th. DRS open once again for Lewis Hamilton. A speed of about 347 kilometres an hour, but still not fast enough to get past the Finn, and they're ticked by another lap where Kimi Raikkonen is leading, and another lap where Kimi Raikkonen is closer to this victory.
Too close to call, but you can't help but think Hamilton should have the upper hand here in the closing stages. He's got much better set of tyres on his car. They're 8 laps younger as well, for good measure. Bottas almost within DRS zone of Verstappen as well. So Bottas more comfortable on these soft tyres than Max Verstappen. That's going to be a great squabble over the final place on the podium, assuming they all get to the end, of course, and there is that squabble.
Valtteri Bottas.
The earlier incident with Bottas at turn 1, basically Charlie says we've used up our joker on that, so we won't be able to do that again. Just make sure you keep it clean at 1.
Okay, so Charlie Whiting said, yeah, I'm going to let you off this one because I've not got enough evidence really to refer that one to the stewards, but don't do it again because I'll think that you've pre-planned it. I would imagine this is what went on with that. Valtteri Bottas started 4th, currently in 4th, looking for a podium, of course. Would love to be on that podium. Has only been on a podium once in the last 6 races. Sorokin makes a move on Ericsson. More importantly, Hamilton has a tentative look at Kimi Raikkonen going into that first chicane. If his tyres aren't absolutely perfect, of course it stops him braking so late, Martin, because he hasn't got the confidence that he's got the grip there to do it. But nothing wrong with Valtteri Bottas's tyres, of course. Expect a late lunge possibly from the Finn here. On the inside goes Verstappen, forces Bottas to go the long way round. Very nice defending indeed from Verstappen.
Yeah, left him a car's width, which he's obliged to do once you're into the braking zone. And a bit like Bottas was doing to Raikkonen, park in the middle and make it difficult for them. But I think Verstappen's going to have a real problem keeping the mighty Merc at bay.
He didn't weave around Max Verstappen. He stuck to 1 point on the track there, Martin. He kept it very fair.
You're allowed to move once in defence along the straight, and then you can move back in the braking zone towards the racing line, leaving a car's width if your competitor is there.
Sebastian Vettel, meanwhile, is out on the track in 5th place. His teammate Kimi Räikkönen, Lewis Hamilton with him, just weaving their way through the traffic and through the back markers before they can lock horns and resume this rivalry once again. And Hamilton does, to me, look a little bit closer here. So Sergei Sorokin being shown the blue flags. Räikkönen pulls out, and to the right-hand side, actually got a bit of a slipstream behind Sorokin there. That might have helped him with the without DRS, of course. Hamilton fights back, still has to stay behind him, onwards towards the next chicane they go.
Yeah, Hamilton very pleased to just follow him through, though. There, so is there any way past? I mean, we've seen Kimi a pit.
Oh, Valtteri Bottas has had a go into the first chicane, and he's obviously got it a bit wrong. There goes Max Verstappen, and Verstappen's now got a massive advantage ahead of Valtteri Bottas because he locked up and then had to go through the first chicane. Bottas really losing out
and
there.
seemed to be slow getting up and running as well, didn't he? So Bottas then drops. Here we go.
Verstappen's looking at his mirrors. Where is he? Moves over there and touches. Now.
He touched me on the left wheel.
So, did Verstappen move over into Bottas there?
Yeah.
You said, Martin, you're not allowed to move around in the braking zone.
You're allowed to move towards the racing line. You must leave a car's width. And that wasn't a car's width. Funny how we were just talking about that, as so often happens in Formula One commentary. But I think the stewards will say that that was unfair defending or creating unnecessary contact from Max Verstappen.
Is Hamilton going to have a go this time? I wonder. Räikkönen keeping him at bay. Hamilton a car length behind, but still behind.
Hamilton all over the place and forcing Kimi to defend fresh air and take a suboptimal line through there. His rear tyres look horrible. It must be a real handful in the traction zones.
Did you just say suboptimal?
I did, because it just had to come out, didn't it?
Ron Dennis will be so proud of you, your former team principal, for that. It's suboptimal grip that Kimi Räikkönen and Lewis Hamilton are suffering from at the moment. The stewards are looking at that incident between Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. We're on board with Sebastian Vettel, started second, running in 5th. He has had one of those races that he will look back on and think, blimey, did I miss this? Did I miss this? He has so much incident, and it's all because of what happened on lap 1. Kimi Räikkönen was leading, Sebastian Vettel in second. Lewis Hamilton thought, I'm going to get past you, and went round the outside. Vettel gave him a car's width, but then there wasn't enough space to go side by side, and the steward said it's a racing incident.
He was moving around a lot, Vettel, wasn't he, on the straight, unnecessarily, it must be said. We saw great racecraft from him last weekend in Spa, but that was a little bit clumsy on the approach to the Rogier chicane.
Hamilton's closer this time around, only half a second as they cross the line. Hamilton moves out and has to go round the outside with Kimi Räikkönen. Can he take the lead of the Italian Grand Prix? Yes, he can. Kimi Räikkönen's staunch defence of his Italian Grand Prix lead comes to an end on lap 45, and Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader, takes over the lead of this crazy race at Monza. Can he hold it now to the checkered flag?
I think he'll hold it easily. He's got the much better tyres. Räikkönen's tyres look horrible. If he wasn't in this fight for the lead, they would have loved a pit stop now for Ferrari. It just hasn't worked out for them on the yellow mark. Soft tyres around the outside. And fair play to Kimi Räikkönen. It would have been very easy for him to tag the Mercedes there.
That was hard, but very, very fair from both drivers. It has to be said. Kimi Räikkönen's not a guy that. He's not a guy that would want to get involved in dirty tricks like that. That's not how he goes racing. He's not going to want to run someone off the road.
Nice work. Right, 8 laps to go once you cross the line.
Right front still looking quite blistered on the inside. And a time penalty for Max Verstappen, 5-second time penalty, and that's a fair cop.
Max Verstappen for moving in to Valtteri Bottas in the braking zone, forcing Bottas wide. Is going to cost him 5 seconds added to his race time. That might now start to bring into play Sebastian Vettel in his bid to get past Max Verstappen.
Yeah,
will certainly help Valtteri Bottas, but Sebastian Vettel might think that's very good news for him as well.
Good point. He's 11.3 seconds behind Verstappen, 11.3 seconds ahead of Vettel, and he's going to lose 5 of those, 5 of that advantage. And Vettel flying now.
So, Sebastian Vettel in clean air. Just going through the first chicane, actually. I'm sure we'll be told that on the radio. Your deficit to Max Verstappen has been halved, so go after him, mate. And that time around, it was so different to the previous lap, wasn't it, where Verstappen, brilliantly fair in his defence of the position, and on that occasion he decided, no, I'm going to wander over to the left.
Yeah, he left him the car's width, but it was the 2016 car, not the 2018 car.
They're a bit wider these days. Right, so Lewis Hamilton now in the lead of this race, Martin, and look how that gap out in front has grown in the space of a lap and a half. 3 seconds between Hamilton and Raikkonen. Long gap then back to Max Verstappen, but Verstappen running a net fourth in this race at the moment with that 5-second time penalty. Christian Horner is on the pit wall for us. Is that a fair cop, Christian, that penalty?
It's frustrating. I mean, it's right on the edge. You could have argued it the other way between Hamilton and Vettel, so it's what the stewards are given, so it's what we've got to get on with it now.
So it's a question now of staying ahead of Vettel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's, you know, obviously Bottas has got too much pace to keep him behind, so now it's about trying to keep that gap to Sebastian.
Christian, thanks ever so much indeed for being with us this weekend. Lap 47 then of the Italian Grand Prix, and Stoffel Vandoorne is right in between, or was right in between Verstappen and Bottas.
So presumably they'll tell Verstappen, which won't sit well with him, not to lose time fighting the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas.
I was just going to ask you, what might be the best plan on that one?
Yeah, well, it'd be pointless losing a second or two fighting the inevitable, because with the 5-second penalty, he's already 4 seconds behind Bottas, effectively.
Ted, let's cross down to you.
As the odd tifoso starts to make their way out of the grandstand and head for the exit, it's really deflated the crowd here, Crofty. I don't know if you can see out of your commentary box. Who knows? Maybe they had earlier flights to take, maybe not, but they look pretty deflated on the Ferrari pit wall as well. And this is Kimi Raikkonen. Well, it's not going to do.
Hang on, Ted.
Okay, Max, we have been given a 5-second penalty, so we will need to push on now. Push on.
For what?
Don't worry about it. Get your head down.
I think.
No, don't worry about it. I gave them space. They do a great job in killing racing, honestly.
Right. Well, we can debate that and hashtag Ask Crofty, and with Max live, I'm sure, as well, after this race.
Yeah. It's good fun, though, isn't it? But, yeah, with Kimi Raikkonen, you know, not going to do his job prospects any good, is he? But you've got to say, beautifully executed strategy from Mercedes. They absolutely did it with the younger tyres. What we've been saying about the benefit of leaving Hamilton out later to get the benefit of the younger tyres. Doesn't always work. Worked today.
Vettel now 8.4 seconds behind Verstappen. He didn't sound like a young man ready to ease Bottas through, did he?
No, he did not.
To avoid losing any time in his real fight now, which is with Seb Vettel.
I hope we can get him to wander over to the Sky Pad after this race and just show him, and then say, right, now do you think you left him enough space? I'd like to hear what he thought.
Yeah, probably best not to film that live. You might need the beeping machine on that one again.
Yeah, we'll muffle a few words, but he won't have seen, you know, the replays. He'll have thought there'd have been space there, Martin, but he won't have seen the replays.
Well, you know my view. It was he didn't leave racing room. You're obliged to do that.
Either way, Valtteri Bottas catching up very nicely and in good timing, and this Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton is where the lead changed hands once again in this race. Brilliant scrap between these two all afternoon long. Go back to Italy in 2007. Hamilton went down the inside on that occasion against Kimi Raikkonen. This time he went round the outside. 11 years on from that, he chose a different line. Valtteri Bottas still trying to get past Verstappen, who's still in no mood to let that Mercedes past him. But how is that hampering his lap times in comparison to Sebastian Vettel, Martin?
Yeah, I'm sure they have told him on the radio that he's now racing Vettel. He needs to know that.
Bottas is going to go for it round the outside. Verstappen is not going to concede this place. He has got a bit of red mist on, I think, there. And if Vettel is lapping a second a lap quicker than Max Verstappen, that might just be costing him this battle.
Yeah. It's going to be completely alien to Max Verstappen and probably not even possible to do, but he should let the Mercedes go and get in its DRS and give himself a chance against Vettel.
I know I'm losing time to Vettel, but I really don't care.
He's listening to us.
He's just listening to you, wasn't he?
Okay, fair enough, Max. Sorry I mentioned it.
I was going to say, yeah, the Drivers' Championship, he's 5th at the moment. Valtteri Bottas is actually the man in 4th place in the championship. He's going to finish 5th or 6th this year. Does he really care about, you know, losing points or not? Is this a bit of principle for him, I wonder? Sebastian Vettel would love, I'm sure, to gain a few more points because he's going to lose out to the championship leader Lewis Hamilton this afternoon. Here comes Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas might just want to stay exactly where he is and not get tangled up with Verstappen, because he could lose out if Verstappen wants to defend too harsh again.
Yeah, it's the widest Red Bull with no intention whatsoever of yielding that place, but Vettel is now just 1.2 seconds away from effectively being P4.
So elsewhere in the field, Hülkenberg just pitted again for Renault, and that has cost him. He's taken him down to 15th place. Hülkenberg in the championship, tangling with Kevin Magnussen for the best of the rest tag at the moment. Magnussen's not going to score points today either, because he's running 17th and plumb last. In terms of the points for this afternoon, Lewis Hamilton, who came into this race with a 17-point lead over Sebastian Vettel. That's going to increase, as it stands at the moment, by another 15 points. Unless Sebastian Vettel can get within 5 seconds of Max Verstappen and pick up a few more as well and reduce that gap. It's a perfect day yesterday for Ferrari. The sun has come out this afternoon and it's shining down on Mercedes, Martin.
Yeah, well, they've made it work, haven't they? Ferrari couldn't make the soft tyres work. Vettel couldn't make the front end grip into the second chicane. And we're darting around rather a lot. Hamilton has sat there and just waited, been very patient. He's always looked like he's had the upper hand against Raikkonen and just chose his moment very well later on in the Grand Prix.
And what Mercedes had at their disposal today was a teammate to help him as well, and for two cars to attack one, as it were, in the way Ferrari have done that to Mercedes of late.
So Verstappen's really stepped on it nicely after the squabbles. Vettel now 5.8 seconds behind Verstappen with a 5-second penalty, so one more lap. It's going to be very close at the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, it certainly is that, and there's some of the Tifosi make their way out. It's a real shame. They might want to stay and celebrate Kimi Raikkonen's 100th podium in Formula One this afternoon, and actually give a massive round of applause to a man who really did take the fight to Mercedes and has had a brilliant race, but could do nothing in the end to keep Hamilton at bay.
To avoid the curbs so much as possible. We saw the vibration we think is critical.
Those tyres have looked nasty, Martin, for quite some time now. We've seen Kimi in the past, haven't we, have vibrations on his tyres. And Sergei Sirotkin unlapping himself there, getting very close.
Kimi's got 9 seconds back to 14 back to Verstappen effectively, and it's now a question of, because if you get a really heavy vibration, as the great Kimi Raikkonen found out at the Nürburgring, do you remember when it literally ripped his suspension off? So he picks up pace in the less critical area where he needs to be, is at VMAX, top speed. That's where he could find himself with a delaminating tyre.
I was just about to say, Martin, it cost him victories in the past.
Yeah.
And that really does look very angry indeed, that left rear tyre. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, but it's tyre management. It's tyre management that's cost him victory today, isn't it, Crofty? What surprises me, do you remember there was a race earlier on in the year, I can't remember when it was, when Kimi was the only one who treated his tyres easily earlier on in the stint, and that avoided all the blisters. Was it France? He was the only one who knew if you don't take the life out of the tyre too soon, you won't get the blisters. He didn't get the blisters, and everyone else did.
Not
done that today.
He's not had that luxury today, though.
Well, because he fell into the Mercedes trap, didn't he? But trying to get past Bottas.
You're right, Ted. And well, what he did is he increased his lead over Lewis dramatically, didn't he? Lewis even mentioned it when he came out of the pits. He just took too much life out of the tyres.
Straight after the pit stop, he did, and that's cost him the win.
So, final lap then of this Italian Grand Prix, and Valtteri Bottas is DRS assisted, having a little look at Max Verstappen again. Verstappen moves over to the inside and then moves over once more, but leaves Bottas a bit more space, but he wasn't coming.
Vettel is now net 4th.
Because Sebastian Vettel is currently 4 seconds behind Max Verstappen, who has a 5-second penalty to add to his race time. And it's a race time that is absolutely flown by this afternoon. We've had drama right from the outset. We've had overtakes and changes of the lead. We have had drivers defending for all their might. Verstappen against Bottas, Raikkonen against Hamilton. We've lost from the race Hartley and Alonso, Ricciardo and Magnussen. We've got Lewis Hamilton, Martin, coming home for a victory that I don't think he really thought was possible this morning. Ferrari had the pace and they had the power, and on their home turf they were expected to produce the goods, but in the end Sebastian Vettel is going to see the lead extend for Lewis Hamilton. The championship leader has come to Monza and he is going to win once more as Hamilton takes the checkered flag and the Italian Grand Prix victory to lead 215 laps at Monza as well. Kimi Raikkonen comes home second for his 100th podium in Formula One on the track. Max Verstappen finishes third. Valtteri Bottas, though, will be on the podium, and Sebastian Vettel does, in the end, finish in fourth place because of that 5-second penalty to Verstappen. A smattering of applause from the Tifosi, who wanted to go wild, but they might just be a little bit furious instead, and that long, long wait for a Ferrari win at Monza is going to have to wait a lot longer, Martin.
What a race. What a cliffhanger in many respects.
Get in there, Lewis. You are the man. You are the man. You knocked that out of the park today, mate. Out the park.
Agreed. He's stolen the victory from Ferrari with a great performance. And I tell you what, it was punchy. Going around the outside into the Roger, the second chicane, was high risk, and it paid off very well indeed for Lewis Hamilton, because in many instances you'd be spun around.
I can hear how happy you guys are. Thank you so much for all the hard work, guys, and for continuing to believe in me. I really appreciate it. And to my fans here as well, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Valtteri Bottas alongside him, who did a sterling job to help Hamilton's victory as well. Those laps that he held off Kimi Raikkonen and Martin, so crucial for the eventual result of this race. And you have to feel a bit for Kimi, don't you? Started on pole here, driver of the day, and I think that's very popular amongst the Ferrari fans. But he didn't want driver of the day, he wanted that race victory. It's eluded him once again.
First time Sebastian Vettel's been off the podium at Monza since he started driving for Ferrari. Yeah, they didn't. Do you remember? Let's look at the allocation. Just remind ourselves of the allocation. Ferrari went really punchy on tyres, didn't they? On the super soft tyres, and so they didn't bring.
Yeah, disappointing, man. But nothing I could do on tyres cold.
So Vettel had 10 sets of super softs. Raikkonen had 10 sets of super softs. Remember, they have to choose 13 sets of tyres several weeks before they come to a Grand Prix. That left Vettel with one set of the yellow soft tyres, which they couldn't try out through the practices, one of which was wet, of course, and Raikkonen had just two of them. So they went into this race with very little knowledge about that yellow marked tyre.
So formation all the way home, just to show our Italian colleagues.
I was about to say, I've seen Martin, you know, Porsche and Toyota and Audi at Le Mans having their formation laps at the end of a long, hard race. This has been a short, hard race, and Mercedes putting on that formation lap. And significant moments there. This championship battle, there's so little between these two. Anything they can do at Mercedes or anything they can do at Ferrari to say we have the upper hand, they will do that. And I don't know who has got the upper hand, except today it was Mercedes.
7 races to go. That's a good haul of points for Lewis Hamilton.
He now leads the Drivers' Championship by 30 points over Sebastian Vettel. We head away to the flyaways. And well, Ferrari expected to have reduced that gap today. It hasn't happened.
That means they can leave whatever happens in Singapore next time out, in 2 weeks' time. Hamilton will still lead the World Championship. That's a big advantage to have in your pocket.
Valtteri Bottas gives Lewis Hamilton congratulations then for his 5th career victory at Monza, and the first time he's ever won not starting on pole in the Constructors' Championship. It's 25 points now between Mercedes and Ferrari. And big cheers, big celebrations. And a track where Mercedes have dominated in this turbo hybrid era, but where this year they didn't have that power advantage that they've enjoyed in recent races.
No, I think that underlines my point of, Hamilton and Mercedes have taken this race from under the nose of Ferrari.
They certainly have. By the time they finish celebrating, I hope Lewis Hamilton has got enough strength to give us a few words.
Emotions are running high. You can see Lewis is going to congratulate Valtteri. He's extended his championship lead on what was a very big day for him. Lewis, we can see what that means to the team. We can hear it in your voice. That has to be one of your craziest races ever, one of your best, to beat two Ferraris, outrace them on home soil here at Monza.
Well, firstly, I want to give it up to Ferrari, who put up a great challenge this weekend. They really did an amazing job, and they're giving us such a great fight. And secondly, I just want to say a huge thank you to these guys and everyone back home, because without their support, without their continued efforts, this wouldn't be possible today. Their continued belief. Also here, there was a lot of negativity, as there are when you're against an opposing team. And I could see so many British flags out there. They know who they are, and I was pointing them out, but they inspired me so much for this race, and that's what I was driving for. So in future, the negative is only really a positive thing for me, because I harness it and turn it from negative to positive. So, but I said big thank you to the team, and big thank you to Valtteri for helping us as well.
Yeah, we could hear in your voice, even when you were doing the parade lap, you were happy with your starts. You got the job done in the beginning. You're not going to go down with a fight. They've got a strong package, but you're going to fight it all the way.
Absolutely. We never give up.
Well done, mate. All the best. That was a cracking day. Kimi, you had the weight of the Italians on your side, the weight of Ferrari after Sebastian went out, but the package just wasn't quite quick enough to beat Lewis today, was it?
I think it was quick enough, but unfortunately our rear tires went, and it's not much. It was a losing battle since that point, and yeah, I tried, but it was impossible in the end, unfortunately. Yeah, it's far from ideal, but this is what we got today, and we did our maximum.
You can take the positives from the weekend, can't you? The first pole position in a long time, and it shows that the fight's going to go all the way to try and beat this guy and try and help Sebastian.
Yeah, I mean, for sure we tried, but if you look at the rear tires, he gave up before the race ended, but yeah, at least we take the second place, and we keep fighting. So
great, all the best. Valtteri, a very strong fight with Max Verstappen down there. How did you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I was really trying to do everything I can to get to the podium. First, my mission was to try and hold up Kimi for a while. But then, yeah, I was trying to end up on the podium. It was hard racing, sometimes not quite as fair I was hoping for, so he got a penalty, so then I'm on the podium.
Well, I'm sure you can see equally the atmosphere in this team's going to be electric tonight. I think you've got to celebrate it, because it was a team effort. You played a big part in that. You held Raikkonen up for that little while, got Lewis on top of him.
Yeah, I think as a team, we take this result. We got more points than Ferrari in their home. Obviously, they were quicker yesterday in the qualifying, so we take it, but hopefully we can be better next time.
Enjoy the podium.
I'm sure he will enjoy the podium, his second podium in 6 races, as the Tifosi make their way to stand underneath the greatest podium in the sports of Formula One. Just to complete our race results here, we gave you the top 5, Hamilton winning from Raikkonen and from Bottas, Vettel and Verstappen completing that top 5. Well done to Romain Grosjean finishing 6th. The Force India pair of Ocon and Perez coming home 7th and 8th, and it moves Force India now to just 2 points behind Toro Rosso, 8th in the Constructors' Championship. And remember, they've only scored in 2 races, the new look Force India. Carlos Sainz, his birthday weekend, he finishes 9th, and Lance Stroll picks up his 2nd points finish of the season for Williams, ahead of his teammate Sergei Sorokin, who produces a career best finish to come home 11th. Charles Leclerc and Stoffel van Dorn, Nico Hulkenberg, who stopped twice, Pierre Gasly, who got tangled up more times than he really wanted to with Daniel Ricciardo, Marcus Ericsson and Kevin Magnussen, who finished this race. Ricciardo for the 4th time in 6 races, DNF against his name. Fernando Alonso stopping after about 9 laps as well, and Brendan Hartley retiring too.
top marks for Romain Grosjean, winning the B class, really, effectively there. And as you say, Williams getting a point with Lance Stroll, which will add a bit of welcome motivation there.
Let's have a listen in.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you. Absolutely awesome. Inventory. Great job. Thanks. Congratulations.
I mean, those tyres go longer. It's hard to follow, that. Hard to follow.
Yeah, lots of margin. Seemed more difficult to pass than we thought, maybe. Yeah.
Well, the Italian fans, Kimi for president. Well, you never know, might happen one day. Massive Ferrari flags down there, chants of Sebastian Vettel from the Tifosi. I think expect a few boos in the next few minutes for the two Mercedes drivers, and massive cheers for Kimi Räikkönen as well. So here comes Valtteri Bottas. I told you to expect a few boos.
Second place, what a job he did to get the car home. Kimi Räikkönen, also from
For the 100th time in Formula One, Kimi Räikkönen will stand on the podium. And equaling Michael Schumacher's record here at Monza. His 5th win for Lewis Hamilton.
And in their honour, the British and German national anthems. To Lewis Hamilton, congratulations to him. The trophy is presented to him by Giancarlo Giorgetti,
for Mercedes-Benz,
Under Secretary, responsible for sport.
And for Lewis Hamilton, for a 5th time, raises aloft the winner's trophy.
To Mercedes AMG Petronas, represented by Owen Jones, Head of Performance and Controls. And he is presented with the trophy by Soren Haag.
They've dominated the Italian Grand Prix in this turbo hybrid era.
Well done to Mercedes.
There's a trophy there.
Well done, of course,
peeping out from behind the feathers.
In 2nd place, the trophy presented.
Massive round of applause for Kimi Räikkönen.
responsible for families and disabled people.
Ferrari on the podium at Monza for the 7th time in the last 8 years. They still wait for that victory.
The trophy presented by Angelo Sticky Damiani, president of the Automobile Club of Italia.
And a victory they haven't had since 2010. Valtteri Bottas gets the same amount of boos as his teammate Lewis Hamilton. In the fight for championships, Mercedes have hit right back at Ferrari. It was so sparse, so good for the Tifosi last week in Belgium. Today, the fanfare, the points, the streamers and the glory go to Mercedes-Benz and to Lewis Hamilton. And that champagne will taste so, so good as they win once again in Italy.
It's not the podium that Ferrari were expecting, I imagine, or certainly hoping for. The fans still there giving it plenty. I wonder how they get such a big flag in and down on to the pit straight of a Grand Prix.
I'm told it's the Ferrari official fan club that bring it along and unfurl it for the whole world to see. But that's, in terms of world sport, Martin, you look down on the start-finish straight at Monza, the podium that juts out over it. It's a glorious, glorious scene and one of the best scenes in world sport for me.
I agree. It's certainly the best podium in motorsport.
And waiting to talk to the drivers for a few more questions, Felipe Massa's back.
Ciao a tutti, che piacere essere qua. Questo podio più bello di tutte le gare di Formula 1. Che piacere. Lewis, please. Congratulations. I saw your victory today. I never saw you so emotional in front of, I would say, maybe one of the best races for you. I raced a lot with you, but I think the race you did today, it was just fantastic. So really, congratulations for your job. Congratulations. I think the race today is difficult to have a word for what you did from the first lap to the end. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, today was so difficult, and honestly, first it's great to see you. We've got a great crowd here always, and whilst the negativity is always never great, that's what's powered me along. So I actually accept the challenge that they send, but I've got a lot of British flags out here, and today it's those guys that really inspire me, and also my team that are here. So, and I love being here in Italy. I love the food. The track is incredible. And to win here is still such an honor in front of such a big crowd. So a big thank you to everyone.
Congratulations, Lewis. Really fantastic job. Kimi, please. Well, actually, Kimi, I've been here in your position as a Ferrari driver, and I think it's just amazing to see this podium, so many people, amazing people, the tifosi. Congratulazioni per I tifosi della Ferrari. Kimi, I think the race, you did a fantastic job, really. You think the blister was the main reason for you today, not to be able to being here with a victory today?
Yeah, for sure. I think we had a speed, but then the tire went and there was nothing left basically in the end on the left rear. But yeah, it's hard to take, but you know, we tried and we had all the great support from I don't know how many, a lot of people, a lot of tifosi. So as far as we can see. So thank you, but sorry for not to win, but next time.
Grazie a tutti, siete fantastici, veramente. Grazie di cuore. Un bacio, grazie.
3 times Felipe Massa has been on the podium here at Monza. It's the 3rd time for Kimi Räikkönen on the podium at Monza. And Lewis Hamilton there saying that the negativity rather spurred him on. They are the most passionate supporters of Ferrari anywhere in the world. They're never going to cheer home a Mercedes win, Martin, are they?
I can't help but think that Lewis Hamilton fancies standing up there one day dressed in red before the end of his career.
Possibly. It was a crazy race and won in the end by Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes-Benz.